Hey guys, welcome back to the Calibrate Tools and DIY channel. How's everybody doing today? Hope everybody's had a great week, a great kickoff for the new year, and everybody has their goals in mind, and they're working on getting them accomplished and making strides and hitting milestones in the new year. Okay, and that's what this live is going to be all about tonight. Is hitting those milestones, but we're going to focus on how you're going to hit those milestones in terms of income, or how you plan on making that income that you so desire to make. Guys, you know what I'm talking about? So at the end of the day, like the title says, either you're an employee or you know you own your own enterprise. Okay. There's nothing wrong with being either one, but there are advantages and disadvantages to each one. And by the way, guys, sometimes you're both, right? Sometimes you're both the employee, and sometimes you're the business owner at the same time. It depends, right? And also, at the end of the day, you always work. You're always working for somebody, whether that's the customer. Let me stop hitting this table because I noticed on the last live I did, I was tapping the table a lot and it was shaking all over the place. So I apologize for that, guys. I got to get my live etiquette sharpened up, man. I'm still kind of, after I don't know how many lives I've done so far, but I should know better, right? So I apologize if I've been doing that lately. I watched. Sometimes I don't even watch the the lives or whatever the recordings that I do. Um, especially the lives, right? And I can't see it, but the minor corrections that I have to make. So, but I did watch the last one, and I was like, man, you're hitting that table a lot. The screen's shaking all over the place. You got to stop that, man. So I'm gonna try to stay away from the table because I can get a little animated when I'm talking, right? Especially if I'm talking about a subject that I'm passionate about. So anyway, guys, let's dive into it. Okay, employee versus business owner. What are you? Let me know in the chat. Are you an employee or are you a business owner? Okay, and we're going to talk about the advantages and disadvantages of both of them because they both have advantages and disadvantages. Uh, let's start off with the being an employee. Okay, let's start off with that. So when you work for somebody, as much as you may not like the job, if the company or whatever is not on the brink of bankruptcy or closing down, shutting down, it's doing pretty well. It's chugging along. You're guaranteed a paycheck. Okay, you're guaranteed. That's guaranteed income, um, whether you like it or not. Whether you think you're deserving of a raise or whatever, you're still getting a paycheck. Okay, as long as you show up, you wake up in the morning, you show up, and you perform the duties that are assigned to you, then you're gonna get paid, right? Not only that, being an employee, you may be privy to like bonuses, right? Like sometimes employers, they give you the bonuses to incentivize you to work harder or you know do a better job or even stay on the job. So you have that coming to you, right? You're looking forward to bonuses. Oh, I'm going to get a bonus. If I work this hard, I'm going to get this bonus and stuff like that. And that excites a lot of people, right? It gives them some motivation to get up and go to the job, and that's great if you're that kind of person. You also get benefits. You get health benefits, insurance benefits, stuff like that you may not have had otherwise if you were not working. And a lot of people get jobs, right? They go to work for people just because of the health benefits. If you have a lot of kids or something like that, and you need to keep them insured, that's one way to do it. Go get a job that has a good health benefit package, and you could take care of your kids yourself, or you could add people onto it that's in the family and stuff like that. So yeah, that's some of the perks of being an employee, right? And that's if that company actually has these to offer you. Not all. If you're working for a small outfit, they may not even have that to offer you. So if you're going to go out there in the job market, why not um, why not increase your chances of getting the most benefits you can by looking for a job in an industry that will offer that to you, right? So you're not just working for a paycheck. You actually have something on the back end that you're getting. Um, Another benefit of working for someone is you may be able to um, buy stock in the company, which will technically make you part owner of the company, right? Which I think is one of the best things you can do, right? Especially if it's a you know an established company, right? Um, why not invest, right? Part of your paycheck into that company. So let's just say you leave that company, you still have stock in the company. If you still want to keep it in there, and if that company blows up, so to speak, sometime in the future, you can get a nice little paycheck there. So you have that, right? You got the 401ks and all of that. And I know people have different opinions on these benefits. Some people think you can, put your money in uh, other vehicles to help it grow quicker than, a 401k or this or that. And it's up to you. I mean, they do have a lot of things out there in the marketplace to put your money into as an employee to, get you on the fast track to, maybe retiring early rather than just leaving it in or earlier, I should say, rather than just leaving it in a slow growth um, uh, fund or mutual fund or 401k or something like that. Once again, this is not, I am just disclaimer, I am not a financial advisor of any sort. Okay. So you just take this information for what it's worth. Okay. So, anyway, so yeah, being an employee, those are some of the benefits of being an employee. And, but those are some of the, I would say, more concrete, perks that you would get, right? But then you have to look at yourself and you say, okay, am I the, and all the jobs that I had before, even the jobs that I liked, um, was I, did I feel comfortable there? Did I is my job history, um, you know, littered with different jobs, all one after the other, right? I stay in 1 month or 2 months or a year, a couple of years, and I move. I keep moving. I know today that's normal, right? With all, that's normal to do that, but back then it was kind of looked down upon if you kept jumping from job to job. It shows that you didn't, at least to the employer or future employer, when they saw that, uh, they it showed to them that you weren't a loyal loyal person. You weren't loyal to any job, regardless of how talented you were at the job. You didn't have that stickability to the job, right? You weren't loyal. You're always looking for an opportunity, and to them that could seem like a threat, right? Let's just say you can take their trade secrets, for example, and take it somewhere else, and that's not a good thing for them. Or it's just not a they can't depend on you, right? Because when a lot of times when companies hire you, they are investing a certain amount of money into you as just to onboard you, right? So if they see that, hey, you're possibly not even going to be here for the next 6 months or to a year, they don't want to invest the money into that. So it's also a financial uh, outlay for them that they don't want to risk putting on you. All right. So if you're the type of person you're saying, okay, I probably won't be here that long. I just need it, um, you may you may be more geared towards something in the gig economy, what they call the gig economy today, where you're, like sort of an independent contractor type of deal, or maybe starting your own thing. Okay. But if you're the type of person, you love taking, I would, okay, I was going to say taking orders, but you don't have a problem with, being a cog in the wheel, um, or anything like that. You love the set hours. You don't want the responsibility of, handling your own outfit. Um, then, being an employee, maybe that's the thing for you. Okay. Maybe that's the thing for you. So these are the things with the employee lifestyle. You're guaranteed an income. Once again, you're guaranteed set hours. All right. You know your hours, like from 9 to 5 or whatever it is, midnight shift, swing shift, morning shift, whatever it is. Okay. That's your hours. You don't have to worry about it. Somebody set that for you. Okay. Somebody set that for you, and all you got to do is show up and do those hours. All right. And if you're, one of those really hard workers, then, you got overtime that may be available to you as well. That may be enticing to you, right? Um, you know that your job duties is just one job. You just have one job duty, whatever that is. Okay. You may be the administrative assistant. Um, you may be I don't know, the technical advisor. You may be the foreman or something. You have a title, okay, that you have a role that's defined specifically for you, okay, and all you got to do is step into that role and perform the duties of that role, and you won't have a problem, okay. And when I talk about being a business owner, you will find that you wear all the hats, right? You wear all the hats. There's no one defined role for you, especially if you're just starting a business. I'm talking specifically like in the beginning of it, okay. You're There's no limited responsibility. You have unlimited responsibility. Okay. In the beginning, if it's just you, you're responsible for everything. Okay. Unless you have the funds, okay, which hopefully the business will make enough money for you to hire on people to take over those roles that you had to do in the beginning, which is everything. Okay. So as an employee, you only have a responsibility to that position. Okay. And there's you are not a financial risk to the company, except if they hired you on and they, like I said in the beginning, that outlay of money that they have to spend in the onboarding process. But other than that, they can fire you anytime they want to. They can get rid of you at a whim. Okay. And so yeah, you have as an employee, you don't have to worry about all that stuff. Except maybe being periodically evaluated, and you may have to go through a review every now and then to see if your performance is up to par. Okay. And all of that. Other than that, you really don't have to worry about too much else. Another perk a lot of people look forward to as being employees is you got that vacation pay coming to you, right? You know that you're racking up those vacation days, and you can't wait, man. Like you say, well, in the next next year, I got all these vacation days. I'm gonna go on a trip somewhere, and this and that and the other, right? So, and then you got the sick time racking up. So yeah, it may seem very attractive, and this is what attracts most people into jobs, right? And this is why the school system, I would say, is a pipeline really to the employee world, right? It's not necessarily geared to make you into a person, an owner, right? A builder, right? It creates. Just look at schools, right? If you drive by a school, what does it look like? Most schools, whether it's junior high school, whether it's high school, what do they look like? I was driving by some schools the other day, and I looked at the schools and I said, man, most of these schools they look like prisons, right? Because they're just like these big buildings with no windows, and all is that students are going up into these things and disappearing. They just look like, I don't know. I don't know. They look like they look like prisons, and everybody's being shuffled here and there down the hallway to this class. Everybody's on schedule. It's almost like going to a job. So you're training people, right? You're training people to go to pretty much to become employees, to get into that system of that assembly line type of system, right? And so when you go to these big buildings downtown or wherever you work at, what do they look like? They're just big buildings with all, of course, some they got windows, and some are more or less creative in the architecture, but for the most part, they're almost like school, like high school buildings, on steroids, right? You go into the building, and you punch the clock or whatever, and you go to your cubicle, and you get to work, right? Now, I'm sure there are some positions where the employer or the business owner makes it more, some people have pool tables, and they have some more recreational facilities in there to make the employees feel more at home, or like they have some sense of freedom. But at the end of the day, um, it's the same model as what you were brought up in to go, in school, right? So that there's no accident why schools are designed the way they're designed, and it's the funnel, right? It's to train you, get you mentally prepared, even on an unconscious level, to be ready for the rest of your life, right? And because everybody's not going to be a business owner, right? Everybody's not going to be the owner, and so the majority of people are going to be employees, right? So they need to train people to be that way, and it kind of makes you wonder, back in the days when there were no schools, no high schools, or anything like that. Just back, I don't know, I would say the caveman days, the Paleolithic era, when you had to hunt for your food, and you had to, if you wanted to eat, had to go out there and kill something. Well, I think even back then, man was more free than today, because there weren't like thousands of kids running up into a building to learn something, you know what I'm saying, and then get a piece of paper saying, "Oh, you graduated, you passed this test because you memorized the answers, or your intelligence, you passed this ACT score, this SAT score, and now you get to graduate, and this is your ticket, into either higher education, or this is something that will allow you to get hired." Right? Back in the days, they didn't have any of that, right? Either you had to go out there and hunt for what you wanted to eat, you had to go kill that animal or whatever. And guess what that took? That took creativity, right? You had to figure out, hi, how am I gonna, you had to learn the skills of a hunter, right? How am I gonna, how am I gonna go and find where the food is, right? And you learn those skills, and man was more free back then, right? He was more creative, and no one was over you telling you, you got to do this and you got to do that, right? You went out there and you killed your own food, and you brought it home, and everybody ate, whether you brought it home for your immediate circle or for the community, right? And I'm sure that instilled a sense of manhood, right? It was a rite of passage. What's the rite of passages today for young people to achieve something? Is to get that, is to graduate from elementary school to junior high, high school. That's the rite of passage. Hold on, guys. I got to drink this water here. Excuse me. I had a little cold. I don't know where I got it from, but if I cough every now and then, sorry about that, guys. You can probably hear it in my voice too. But I'm still kicking. All right, what do we got here? Perry Girl Life Notes. What are you talking about? Hey, Perry Girl. It takes more than one option in order to gain experience and target being an entrepreneur. Absolutely. In the mid 80s, end of the 20th century, the employee corporate world was pushed definitely, but today has gone to another level. Yeah, they are not inviting. No windows, not inviting. Yeah, absolutely. And just to touch on the no windows thing, when you go by these high schools, they have this thing called pipeline to prison, and it's especially for unfortunately, in lower income communities, where the resources and the funds for these schools are not even there, right? I mean, it's almost like they're corralling individuals from those communities into these schools where it's absolutely no what am I trying to say here? The resources to these schools are very limited, and the students aren't getting what they need. And a lot of them are coming from broken homes, and they go to these schools, and they have no respect for the teachers. The school, it's the so-called authority figures there, they have no respect for them. So what ends up happening is you have a negative, toxic atmosphere in these schools, and a lot of these students come out of these schools um, with no sense of responsibility if they even graduate, and they end up, in even worse circumstances. You know, going to jail. Even worse, going to prison for stuff like that. So that's where that term "pipeline to prison" comes from, because a lot of these schools aren't even equipped to handle what has happened in these communities, and we could get into what has happened to these communities, not just in them but to them. But that's a whole other story. But my whole point is this: is that you know you're trained the minute you start going. You don't even know you're a kid. You're going to school. You're getting, you got your, can't wait for lunch break. You're playing on the monkey bars during lunchtime or whatever you do. You're hanging out with your friends and this and that and all, in an environment that's training you to be an employee. I mean, the capitalist system that we live in, which is America, which is what we call the West, has no choice but to produce employees in order for it to exist. And so the percentage of employees to business owners is always going to be lopsided, right? Because that's just the way it is. And you have to decide what you want to be in this system. Okay. So I know I went off on a little tangent there. Let me get back. Let me get back to what I was talking about. So the benefits. Oh, the disadvantages. Let's talk. We talked about the benefits of being an employee. Okay. You got the vacation pay. You got the set hours. You got the limited responsibility. You know, and you have the guaranteed pay. Okay. With the possibility of getting more pay at some point that they decide to give you whenever they feel like you are worthy of it. Okay. And I may that's I, that's really a disadvantage in my opinion. um so the disadvantages, once again, for being an employee, let's talk about it. You better show up. Okay. So and you better show up and you better perform right according to what their performance requirements are, right? So if you're not performing, or somebody thinks you're not performing, or they just may not like you, right? And they say that you're not performing, they can get rid of you right there. There goes your paycheck. Now what are you going to do? You got 5 kids to feed. Um, so that's the disadvantage of it. You're constantly under the gun. Okay, you're under the gun, and you know all it takes is for you to not perform up to a certain level or get so many strikes against you, and then you're out. Okay. um, you're dependent on somebody else to feed you, right? And an establishment, you're dependent on them to feed you. You're dependent on them for your income, and that's a disadvantage. You're always at risk. I might even venture to say that that's even more riskier than being independent, I should say, right? Because at any time, whether you like it or not, for whatever reason, where that company could just lose an account, right? Lose one of their biggest accounts, and there you go. You got to go, right? I mean, we see it happen all the time. Layoffs, right? These big companies that we think are too big to fail, they lay off people all the time. Just look at the news, right? So that's the risk you take of being an employee, and depending on just being an employee and thinking that's going to save you. I think in today's day and age, it's not. I mean, it's not going to save you at all. Back then, where things, I guess, were a little more stable, maybe back in the 50s or something, that was something that you could aspire to maybe retire on and live the American dream, so to speak. But today, no. Um, Set income, okay. Um, yeah, we talked about you have a guaranteed income, right? But once again, that income is set, right? It's not gonna. You can't give yourself a raise the next day because you think you're doing such a good job. No, you're gonna. No matter what you're doing on that job, is gonna it's gonna stay that way until they decide they want to give you a raise, or they like you that day, and they may not like you that day. So you're gonna bust your whatever all day long, and you're gonna get paid that same hourly rate. And the only way you can get paid more is that they offer you overtime, or they just want to be nice to you for whatever reason. But for the most part, your pay is gonna be capped, and it's that's just the way it is. Okay, and if you know you're a type, you're putting a lot more into the job, first one there, last one to leave type of thing, and that's not being recognized, then maybe you gotta think about if that's getting to you, maybe you gotta think about, hey, maybe there's some other things I can do here. Okay. All right. Another disadvantage. I know. Let me check. Let me look at this here. Let me see what's going on. Very good. Life notes. What's up? Once again, I believe going back to keeping kids engaged with their creative and hands, with their creativity and hands-on activities will allow OJT, will definitely reduce the pipeline. Yeah, absolutely. But you gotta understand that's not that's it's not necessarily what they want, right? They when I say they, you could insert whatever you think is they into the parentheses of they. Okay, but I think we all know who they is. The higher ups, the powers that be, if you want to call it, don't. It's not in their best interest to have a community that's been oppressed for so many centuries in this system to become independent, right? So as a result, you see these situations persist. You'll see them persist, and it's just a sad situation, but it is what it is. True independence won't be given to you by the powers that be. You have to take it. Okay, you have to go out there and take it. How you take it, I'll let you guys figure that out. So yeah. So anyway, but good point there. Very good life notes. So yeah. So you another disadvantages of being an employee is that your creativity is stifled as well. Just like Very Good Life Notes mentioned, that's what's needed for kids. As an employee, you may have creativity in a certain area, right? But you don't, it's pretty limited to that position, right? Some places are so strict that they don't want you. You can't, you have no say so when you start tiptoeing into other areas of the business that they feel that you have no place being, and because it's going to mess their system up. And I get it; it's a system that they want to keep. But so just know that you're limited as an employee there. Last disadvantage I would point out is that, once again, I did mention this before, that your job is not guaranteed to be there the next day, right? You know, people can, people can just say, "Hey, look, we need to cut back." Next thing you know, you're in that group that has to go, right? And or the company could shut down itself, or somebody could just say, "Look, man, look, we don't feel that you're performing up to a certain level, and we got to let you go," and that's it. So your job is not as secure as you think it is. Okay, and so that's the disadvantages of being an employee. Now let's talk about being a business owner. What's the advantage of being a business owner, guys? Tell me in the chat. What's the advantage? Can somebody tell me in the chat what some of the advantages of being a business owner? Well, I'll tell you one thing. One of the advantages is that you have, and this is, I don't know, it depends on how you look at it, but one thing is that you have more independence, right? You have more independence to make decisions in how you want to bring in the income, right? How you want to get paid. You have more independence in what services, products that you want to provide people. You have more independence in decisions on which products and services you want to provide. You have more. You're pretty much, like I said, you're wearing all the hats, right? If you're the owner, you're wearing all the hats. I'm talking about like everything, marketing, right? You have to do everything, accounting, pretty much just everything, right? Like what I'm doing here, this is a form of of marketing, so to speak, right? You guys are watching me. You get into to kind of know who I am. I'm the face. I'm the face of Caliber 8, and there's advantages, disadvantages to that. Some people don't want to be the face of things, and I totally get it. Um, but for what I do, I decided I'm going to be the face. I'll tell you a little story behind why I decided to do this and be the face. Is because I have products that I put out there, and I didn't want to be at the risk of just a product, just a widget maker, right? Um, and somebody could just like knock off or something like that. Um, but in order for me to protect myself from just being a widget maker at the risk of just being one of the millions of widget makers out there with no name behind them, I decided to create a moat around what I do. Like, you know what I'm saying? Remember the castles? They have moats around them. Well, that moat is like the brand that you create around a certain thing in the business world, right? And that protects you from just being just a number, or just another widget, right? Because you created either a personality around it, or that people know you for something, right? And so I decided to get on social media and promote what I do and educate at the same time. And hopefully, people that watch me know me after a certain, not everything about me, but they know what I bring to the table. They know that I bring you guys value, um, and as a result, hopefully they got you trust me for the information that I bring you. And if you decide to, you know, take Calibrate on up on some of the offers, like that we have on Calibrate.com, some of the products we have there, then that's the point of me being out here, in the social media world, putting my face out there. Now, everybody's not gonna, take to you, but that's not the point. Everybody's not supposed to be your customer, right? But you will, convert certain people that know, like, and trust you into being a customer, and then you can continue giving them the value that they need. So as a business owner, you got to do all that. You know, as an employee, you can't do all that. You're not. You'll be working in the mail room, and you have all these marketing ideas, but you can, because you're assigned to the mail room, you can't go to the marketing department and say, "Look, I think guys should do it this way." Nah, as an employee, you can't do that. But as a business owner, you can do that. You can do that all day long. Say, okay, and as an employee, you can say, "Oh, I want to, let's I'm going to put my face out there for my company." And no, and they won't allow you to do that. But as a business owner, you can do all that. So that's what it means by independence, right? You got the independence to do all these things, but that comes with a lot of responsibility, right? That comes with a lot of responsibility as well. Another advantage of being an owner of a business is that you get to create that business around your passions, okay? And whatever your passions are. I mean, I was watching a guy. I mean, think about it. I mean, you got guys and girls on YouTube making millions of dollars gaming, right? Just playing video games, right? Or whatever. I mean, think that is the power of the internet today, and they're just doing something they always have done, right? But they just learn how to monetize it, and these platforms have allowed them to monetize their passions, right, or their hobbies. See, the internet allows you to allow the average person to monetize their hobbies today, and that's one of the great things about it. So you get to do that as an owner, right? You can't monetize your hobbies on a job, right? You really go to a job and you do whatever you're told, right, to do, or whatever your duties are, and they may not have anything to do with your hobbies at all. And you can't wait to get off so you can do your hobby. But as a business owner, you can say, okay, this is something I'm good at. I love doing this. I've been doing it a long time. It's a passion of mine. By the way, you can have more than one passion, you know. Okay, but this is a passion of mine that I think I can monetize out there in the world. And you can do that as you can decide you can decide, say, okay, I'm gonna create a business out of this, and it's gonna feed me and my family, and that's what I'm gonna do. And the thing is about that though is that you don't want to you don't want you don't want it to you don't want to lose the passion for what you do, right? Like I get on here and I talk about tools. I like, because I like tools. I like the technology around them, right? I think they're I mentioned this millions of times. I think they're an extension of the mind, extension of the human body that allows us to do things that the human body can't. And that just says, okay, um, to me, that says that, you know, this is a creative powerhouse and allowed us to create certain technologies, physical technologies, with the laws of nature, electricity, physics, and all that stuff, and matter, and combine it into a device that allows you to do all kinds of things. That's what a tool is. Okay, and so it allows you to build shelter for humanity, yourself, uh, and all that. Repair things. I mean, yeah. So what's not to be passionate about when it comes to that stuff? All right. So yeah. So as an employee, you can't. Your creativity is stifled, man. You can't just say, okay, man, I like to be a I don't know, whatever your hobby is. You know, can you do that? Can you go to your job and allow? No, you can't do it. So, but as a business owner or as someone who has a passion, you can figure out ways to monetize it. All right. I was looking at a guy. He was a gamer and he figured out how to create YouTube channels around gaming, and now he's a multi-millionaire. And he's not even he doesn't even have to show his face on YouTube. So on these platforms. So he figured out, that's what I'm talking about, right? Um, advantage. One more advantage is having flexible. Your time is more. Your time is more available to you. You have more control of your time. There's no set schedule, right? Unless you make it for yourself, right? But you make it. Nobody made it for you. And there's a difference between you making a schedule for yourself, whether that's 9 to 5 or whatever, and somebody making it for you. Okay, that's a whole different feeling. That's a whole different ball game, in my opinion. Okay, um, you set your own hours. You could work as much as you want. You can work as little as you want, right? As long as you're getting the results that you need, and you know that the time that it requires to get those results. So you're more results driven than waiting on 5 o'clock to get off, right? Um, and I think that's more rewarding of a life than waiting till 5 o'clock to get off, unless you're on a job that you actually love the job and you like doing what you're doing. Okay, so it's not a. I'm not trying to say working is someone is bad. You may actually love what you do. My brother, he loves what he do. He's in the IT field, right? And he loves what he does. He's learning every day, and he's constantly expanding his knowledge base in that field, and that's good too. All right, so what's another advantage? What's another advantage? Can somebody tell me another advantage, guy? All right. Paragon Life says freedom of schedule. Yes, absolutely. We just talked about that. Claudette, how you doing? Claudette McCoy's in the house. Independency, yes. We talked about that too. Independency, yes. You have, like we just mentioned, time. You're more independent as far as time, and you're more independent as far as your creative inputs, right? On a job, I don't care how creative your input is. As a matter of fact, sometimes they don't even like you being too creative. Because they get threatened. If that person's figure out something that I didn't, and I'm they're my subordinate, and they get threatened. So you're dealing with all that personal ego politics stuff, and you're walking on eggshells, and then people, it's ridiculous, but it happens with people, with human beings, right? Um, I'm not saying that can't happen as a business owner, but at least you're the one making the decisions. You know what I mean? Absolutely. So let's see here. This is one of the best things about being a business owner is that there's no cap on your income. We talked about being an employee, there being a cap on your income, right? No matter how hard you work, they decide when they're going to give you a raise or a bonus or whatever. But with as a business owner, it's up to you, right? You go out there and you decide. It's up to you. The choices you make, decisions you make, the strategy that you have, and hopefully the team that you have. Um, you can command whatever income you want, right? You just got to go out there and get it. Back to that hunt or kill to eat type of back in the caveman days, right? You better get out there and go kill that thing if you want to eat. You know, well, it's the same thing with being a business owner. You got to get out there and get in that wilderness and go get yours. It's out there, but you just got to get it. It's out there. Trust me, it's out there. Don't let anybody tell you. If you're a business owner, listen to this, and you're saying, "Man, I'm struggling." What did I get into the right field or whatever? Sometimes you gotta evaluate what you're doing, and sometimes it does take a little tweaking. Tweaking the strategy, right, to get better results. That's to me, that's the learning part too. That makes you even a better entrepreneur, if you want to use that term, because you know what works, right? You're not gonna know. Sometimes you got to stick your finger in the socket and get shocked in order to say, okay, that's not working. And there's nothing wrong with that. That actually adds to the richness of life, right? You're not gonna get out here in this life and think that you're not gonna get burnt. You're not gonna get experience rejection. You're not gonna get cheated on. All that's gonna happen. That's part of life. But guess what? All these things that happen uh, make you stronger, make you a better person if you let it. Right? Sometimes certain people they let these things destroy them, and they drop out of the game. But these things are, you know, I'll put it like this is an analogy. Right? Think about it like this: Mike Tyson, one of the most prolific boxers in history. I mean, you can't touch. I mean, this dude was taking out dudes. I don't even know how tall. How tall is Mike Tyson? All I know is he fought fighters that were much bigger than him. Okay, and he laid them out. Okay, and these bigger fighters were actually scared of him because of his skill and his ability and his prowess and the energy that he put forth. So when he stepped into that ring, it wasn't just him stepping into the ring. When they saw him step in the ring, he was bringing all that history of who he was into the ring with him. And it kind of, it had him, what's the word for it? It had him kind of shook. That's a urban term, saying that they were, they were on edge because they're like, man, this, and they were bigger than this dude. And, but and Tyson himself said, listen, I was scared. I don't know if he said he was scared, but I think he may have said he was scared every time he got in the ring. So he experienced fear himself, but it didn't stop him from getting in there and handling business. So obviously his will overcame the will of his opponent, right? Of course, not just his will, but his skill and his will combined, and he was victorious. I say 99% of the time, till Buster Douglas got up in there, and it's always that one, right? But I don't even know if Tyson was like, at his best in that fight, to be honest. But anyway, yeah. So my analogy about the boxing ring is, as a business owner, right? There's constant battles that you got to fight, constant fires that you have to put out. So when you step into the ring as a business owner, right? You're stepping into the ring with, guess what? You're stepping into the ring with rejection. You're stepping into the ring with, goals that you have to accomplish. You're stepping into the ring with fear, maybe risk. Like I said, rejection. All these things you step into the ring with. But that's part of what's gonna. If you don't fight these things, right? If you don't fight these things, then they'll defeat you and have you flat on your face in the ring. But you got to fight these things and knock them out, right? So, and that's all inner work that you have to work on, right, inside. That's that inner battle. That's that inner fight that you have to do to be successful, right? So all the business is going to do is reveal reveal who you are. All right, are you just, and even if you get knocked down, are you going to get back up? Right, right. A lot of boxers, they get knocked down. A lot of fighters, a lot of MMA, you see them get knocked down, but they get up and they win the fight, right? Um, and that's what makes the fight interesting, right? So uh, you can't just you got to look at these things as good things, really. So, you got to look at it as good things. Somebody says no to you, or that, they want to buy your product or service. Just take that as they don't want to buy it yet, because they don't know about you yet. They don't know how big you are yet. So it's your responsibility to make yourself as larger than life, a superstar at what you do, right? So people talk about you, and then they say, "Oh man, maybe I shouldn't have said no to them." But anyway, that's not for everybody. Everybody doesn't have that fight in them. So yeah, but if you do have that fight in you, your income is unlimited, right? It's unlimited, and it's going to get to the point where you're getting so many victories that you're gonna have to hire a team to help you out, right? To help you with all these trophies you got to collect in terms of whatever it is, income, so now milestones that you've accomplished, things like that. Yeah. All right, so that's some of the good things about being a business owner. What are some of the disadvantages? Can somebody tell me what some of the disadvantages are, if you see them as disadvantages? All right. Very good. Life says, expand your learning funnel and expose you to different circumstances of others. Yes. Yeah. You definitely you're not in the box as an owner, uh, as a creator of something. So because you're not in the box, your ability to learn more is expanded. Absolutely, right. So you learn much more than just somebody who just, they put you over there to do that particular job, and that's it, right? A Holloway, hey A Holloway, how you doing? Long hours. A Holloway says long hours. Yeah, some people think, hey, I'm gonna own a business, I'm gonna have all this free time, and we did talk. Well, not free time, but I'm gonna have more time. But sometimes you, as an owner, you're working longer than if you had a job. But once again, to me, it's about, hey, that's something I decided to do. That even though I have to do it to get a job done, right, or to get a big order out or something like that. And if my staff is limited and I have to do it, then I have to work longer hours. Hey, no problem. That comes with the territory. I don't have a problem with that, right? So yeah, but as an employee, if you got, sometimes they tell you, hey, look, man, we need you to work 8 hours. We need you to work a second shift. We need you to work a second shift to get this done. Can you do it? And sometimes you be like, oh man, should I say no? Because if I say no, then they're gonna look at me funny. All this other stuff. You find yourself working, and you wish you weren't there, type of thing. But and by the way, even as a business owner, there are gonna be some things that you may not want to do, right? But you're doing it anyway because it's for the good of it's for the good of the business. And yeah, Very Good Life says disadvantages, cash flow can be inconsistent. Yes, absolutely, right. Sometimes you have those customers that don't pay, especially if you're a service-based business. Sometimes you're waiting on, or it's like a net 30 type of thing or something like that. You got to wait for a check to come in, and it may not, because you're selling products and services, right? Especially, okay, in my case, I'm selling products. That fluctuates, right? That fluctuates. Some people may buy more at certain times of the year, or buy less at certain times of the year, or certain times of the month, right? So you got to, you have to figure out ways where you're constantly making making a profit, and you're making enough to pay the bills, at least the overhead, and then some, right? And so you have to constantly figuring out, okay, do I need to put more money into marketing? You know, do I need to incentivize my salespeople more? Things like that, right? So many little things you have to think about in order for the business to be profitable and be, be worth it, right? So it just doesn't become a hobby or something that you're just pouring money into with no profit happening, right? Um, because even if it's something you love and you turn it into a business and it's not making profit, then you may not love it so much anymore, right? So yeah, so that you're going to be tested in all those areas, right? You're going to be tested in all those areas as a business owner. But I think that's actually a good thing, right? I think it's a good thing that you are tested, right? It makes you, like I said, I like to use these analogies, these simple analogies, in order to understand certain concepts or understand life. Uh, in order for a sword, you ever seen those swords? Uh, Say the Marines or something, right? A real shiny sword. It didn't just come out like that. That thing was put in the fire. It was heated, and then it was put on the anvil. It was forged. It was it was hammered into what it was. It was polished many times over, right? It was put back in the water, and then it was put back in the heat, in the cauldron or in the fire, and then it was taken out. It's hit again, put back in. It was just a process of refinement, right? Think of it. Think of you going through all these things, figuring out how to keep your business above board, afloat. Think about all these things you encounter as a business owner, trying to get accounts, trying to make sales. All the rejection, all this and that, as a refinement process, a refining of your skills, right? Um, Sometimes you got to shift to another market, right? Sometimes, okay, if they're not getting it, then maybe I need to try it over here. Maybe I get a better response over here. All that's part of the refinement process, the refining process of your skills, right? Get out of a market that's not for you, right, and get into a market that's for you, that's responding better to you, uh, and that's it. I hit the table again. Sorry about that. If I've been hitting the table, it's been shaking. Sorry about that, guys. I told you in the beginning I will watch that, and look, I'm doing it already. Not even paying attention. Yeah, so it may be very stressful to keep that thing afloat, but you know, uh, if you have a team behind you, right? If you have a team behind you, it'll make it a lot easier, right? It'll make it a lot easier. But then once you got a team behind you, now you got to manage people. You got to manage human beings who have personalities, right? Who may have we all have egos, right? We have egos, and that's now you manage them. So hey, look, you just can't get out of it, man. You're gonna have to manage something. You got to deal with something, right? All right. Now, starting a business is gonna take investment, right? You got to have, like, if you really want to get things going, either you're gonna have somebody investing in the business, or you're gonna be giving up equity to, meaning that you're gonna be giving a percentage of the business just to get their money, to get the thing started. I'm really not a fan of that. I have friends that have done that, that are multimillionaires right now, and they did their thing, man. I'm not mad at them. And use other people's money. I feel you. That's the mantra right there. OPM. Use other people's money if you can. But if you can do it without giving up a portion of your business, that's even better, right? I mean, they got all kinds of programs out there. This last few years have provided so many opportunities to get different, get different channels or sources of money to you, right? Because of the pandemic and the economy, and people, them trying to get businesses back up and running again. A lot of grants and loans have been, offered to people, and unfortunately, a lot of people took advantage of those things, and did some shisty stuff. But aside from that, these things were available to help you get going. And even before that, and even now, they have different things to get you going, uh, sources of funds to get you up and running and help you out. You just got to look for them. You got to look for them, or have somebody on your team that's keeping an eye out for these things. because that can, you know, you don't necessarily have to give up, you know, 50%, 40% of your business, because when you do that, now you have to answer to that person, right? You got to answer to them. So it's almost like, you know, you try to get away from answering to somebody, but you got an investor. Now you got to answer to them, right? So uh, that could be a sticky situation, and that person can also pull their money away. They can snatch their money. You know, it's all kinds of stuff that can happen with that. But investment, you know, like I said, it's sometimes required, right? Some businesses you can't start without having an investor or some form of investment into it that you don't have. You don't have the money, so uh, you just got to do it the right way. Um, we spoke about hours. Yep, owning a business can sometimes require you to work 20 hours, days to get, you know, depends on what you trying to get done, especially if you're in the beginning stages and you're wearing all the hats, and that can have a negative impact on your family. You know, it's so good to do things when you're single, right? You don't have a family, you don't have a spouse. Sometimes that's the best time to start these things. You don't have kids, right? Because all those things are going to take away from the time that you could be putting into your business, right? A lot of times people start stuff when they, you know, already have all these things. They have kids, they have family, you know, spouse, all this stuff that they have to give time to. And then once they get into the business, which requires more time to give to their family, they can find that it's having a negative impact on the family. And a lot of families are broken up. A lot of marriages are broken up because of that. So if you're a younger person and you know, think about that, right? If you have big goals and you know, and you really want to accomplish these goals, you got to think about the kind of choices you make in terms of relationships. And nobody's saying not to have a relationship, but sometimes you got to go monk mode. You know, just it's just you know, and so you don't have to end up hurting anybody or you know, having all this stress on you because your attention your attention is split so many ways. And you know, so sometimes you just got to go solo and just handle your business, and then you can think about bringing all those other things into your life, right? Uh, instability. Once again, the market. Sometimes the business it could be a very good business, but if the economy is an uproar, like what happened with the pandemic, and it's if you know, a product based business like mine, you know, I had to deal with all kinds of supply chain issues, right? I couldn't get products out because the supply chain was so jacked up, right? You know, I mean, everything was shut down, right? That I wasn't getting the raw materials, the inventory that I needed in time. So it took much longer to get my, you know, things up and running, um, you know, than it should have, because that's because of what happened, right? So these are things that come with being a business owner. So you have to learn how to predict. Well, you can't predict natural disasters. You can't predict pandemics. You know, you can't predict things like that. But I think now businesses are, you know, being more, you know, fortune tellers, I should say, and looking at the risks of not being prepared, right? Not having enough inventory on hand. Um, so they're probably stocking up more, right, and stuff like that. Um, yeah. So those are some of the disadvantages, okay, of owning a business. So we talked about employee and business disadvantages and disadvantages, and but there's a path where sometimes you got to be both, right? If you're trying to get started as a business owner, right, and you don't have the income that you need, sometimes you got to get out there and work, get a part-time job, get it, or even have a job, full-time job, right, and work your business on the side until that business you get your business up to a point where the income from that business can replace the job, right? So sometimes you're doing both at the same time. You don't have any investors, you don't have anybody shelling out money to you, you know, hedge funds or, you know, daddy, you know, you know, have daddy giving you, you know, family inheritance and all this. So you don't have none of, you don't have any of that. You came from nothing. Well, as they say, you came from the gutter. You came from nothing, right? And it's, and so sometimes you just got to get out there and get it yourself. You got to get the funds that you need yourself and get things going. And it's nothing wrong with that. Okay. And a lot of people do it. I've done it. And hey, if I can do it, anybody can do it, right? So, and I'm still building. I'm still, constantly looking for opportunities, all the time. So, if you want to, if you want to aid the cause, go to calibrate.com and see what we have for you. Okay. But anyway, guys, I've been on here an hour. I think I'm usually not on here that long, and I'm gonna let you guys go. But thanks for coming. Hope you learned something from this. Hope you can take it into your life, take it into 2024 and beyond. And when this year is over, you'll be a different person. You'll be on a whole nother level, and that choice is up to you, nobody else. But it's not as hard as you think. It's just putting one foot in front of the other, taking a risk, making those calls. Don't worry about the rejection thing. That's not real. That's just not yet. Okay. They don't know who you are yet. It's your responsibility to let them know who you are. Okay. But anyway, guys, have a good one. Very Good Life Notes, Claudette. I appreciate you coming on. A. Holloway. Thanks for coming by, stopping by, and whoever else is watching in the replay. And I'll see you guys next time. Have a good one. Peace.